What is up, guys? Welcome to a live stream here, and today we are doing a live stream to the SpaceX takeoff countdown. So basically, yeah, I have it on YouTube right now. It's gonna take off in about maybe 3 hours or so, like that. I don't know, but like, you know, hopefully it takes off early. Really expecting that. So, what's gonna happen? Take off early or go on the same time? So, the countdown will be about 3 hours or something like that. Indicator.
Throw at you. It was really neat being part of it. It's just been an incredible undertaking to see where we've come just in the last 5 years that Bob and I have been part of this.
All right.
To be, shortly flying to the International Space Station with the Crew Dragon. It overwhelms you to think about how many people have, in some way, shape, or form, touched this program and this.
You guys ready?
Get us to this point, and we are the lucky ones that get to fly it, but we certainly not for 1 second take for granted the amount of effort that so many other people had to put into this to make it successful.
For Doug personally, he's worked so hard, through his entire life, to get to where we are right now. As a test pilot, this would be the dream, to fly a new vehicle. So it makes me so happy to see that he gets to be part of this mission, the spacecraft commander. I'm just glad to see his hard work and his dreams come true for that.
It's been a long road in a lot of ways for not only us, but certainly for all the folks that work in the commercial crew program, as well as SpaceX in our case, just working to get to this point. It's been a huge amount of sacrifice and time away from home, but the fruits of our labor are coming to fruition.
We are now getting closer to when we expect to see the crew complete their suit checks and walk out of the Neil Armstrong Operations and Checkout building. And before they do, here's an introduction to the Joint Operations Commander for Demo 2 and former Air Force flight test engineer, astronaut Bob Behnken.
When you go through the launch day preparations, there's a lot of moments that kind of stand out to you. One is the kind of the celebratory piece of it, which is that you're walking out of the suit up room and getting in the vehicle that's going to take you to the
Tesla,
launch pad.
bro.
When you close the
Oh my
hatch,
God.
that's really when Doug and I are in the vehicle, and it's our vehicle, and we're really in control of
Tesla's
it
a good company.
at that point.
Test pilots, their task, proved that man could fly into orbit around the Earth and return live and well to talk about it.
There's always a balance of managing risk as you go forward to execute a test point and figuring out a way to collect the data. We hear a sound. Okay, is that sound an expected sound? Or we see a light, is that light an expected light? What's the source of it? Does it sync up with something else that's going on or not? So trying to dissect all of that in real time in your head is, a lot of things happen like that on launching of a vehicle.
From St. Anne, Missouri, he is an Air Force colonel and flight test engineer. He flew aboard Space Shuttle Endeavour twice. Introducing NASA astronaut Bob Behnken.
My career at NASA has kind of spanned a couple of decades at this point. I arrived with the class of 2000. Went through the training program, primarily focused on the space shuttle and the International Space Station, learning those systems. Having launched a couple times on vehicles, the second time was definitely different than the first time. You can feel a little bit guilty of, hey, should I study one more thing, or is there one more piece of information I should get? Am I really prepared or not? So that's definitely different between where I was on my first flight and where I'm at right now. It's been really interesting, I think, for both my wife and I to have gone through the process of seeing each other launch in space. I've seen her take that risk and had it be in front of her, and I've done that to her. There's just something different about watching a rocket launch when there are people on board. You feel a little bit differently about the pit of your stomach, and I can only tell you it's multiplied significantly when it's somebody that you know and then somebody, of course, that's a family member, it's even multiplied more.
For me personally, as a spouse, watching everything that Bob has put into this over the last 5 years, the dedication that he's shown, the perseverance is pretty special for both of us. Though the way our minds work, it won't be until sort of the mission is complete that you have really a chance to savor it and celebrate it. This is a huge accomplishment for an Air Force flight test engineer to be part of the demonstration mission of a brand new vehicle. It's going to be amazing.
Without a partner that has that same appreciation, I think it can be challenging for some folks. There's a lot of work and a lot of time that takes away from family that that my spouse appreciates, and I love her for that. Really, my role on the Demo 2 mission is to make sure that we get this vehicle tested and evaluated so that we can move on to more operational missions at the International Space Station. We've got a lot of objectives on board the vehicle that we need to accomplish to really make sure that it's good to go. We'll make sure all those systems are working during the test flight so that the future missions will have them available even if they don't plan to utilize them. Through years of the NASA team, helping to share that experience and teaching them the lessons that we've learned by going through this. Now there's another capability in the U.S. besides NASA to operate something of this magnitude. When is the last time humans launched on a new vehicle? Certainly on the American side, it's been several decades. Now we're in a time when we've got multiple vehicles under development. It's a great time from a space exploration time frame just to see all that happening, and it's because of this nurturing of the environment, being able to pull in a wider group of people who can contribute towards human spaceflight. It's a super cool time. On a deeply personal level, I'm really excited that my son is get a chance to see me launch into space. Being an astronaut has been a little bit of an abstraction thing for him because he's seen me do it in old videos, but he hasn't seen me do it for real, and so I'm excited for him to see this launch. I want to thank the entire Commercial Crew Program team that's worked together to get to this point where we've got vehicles in the launch pad ready to head to the International Space Station.
And we're back live in the room now with Bob Behnken on the left of your screen, Doug Hurley to the right. This is such a cool site here, Leland. This must bring back a lot of memories for you.
Maria, it really does. I mean, looking at these new suits and these new seats, it's a little different than what I experienced 11 years ago. But it's all the same.
Those are different suits.
People around you that have been with you, getting you ready for this mission. It's just an amazing moment, and they're getting excited.
I'm not gonna talk.
These military guys don't
until
really
the
get
end.
excited. They don't show their excitement like civilians do. But it's a moment of history, and we're getting ready for this momentous occasion.
Yeah, and it was pretty cool. We heard that earlier this morning they stepped outside with a cup of coffee in hand. Oh, we've got some visitors in the room now. It looks like SpaceX founder Elon Musk to the right of your screen, and NASA Administrator Jim Bridenstine. Of course, you see a partition there to keep them a safe distance from the crew, but they're in there to say hello, wish them well before they depart the suit-up room. That's really cool to see there, and we can't hear what they're saying, but I'd love to be a fly on the wall in there right now.
Lauren, I wonder what Elon is saying.
Oh, just probably telling them how honored he is to be able to give them a ride today. And I know the NASA administrator, he talked about this yesterday. I mean, he's met with the crew before today even and said, I told Bob and Doug, it's not too late to call this off. If you have any second thoughts, and of course they had none. They're super pumped about this, ready to go. And right now it's just, we just need the weather to cooperate. Yeah, I try to think who could potentially be more excited than the SpaceXers. Bob and Doug. Yeah, right?
And it's amazing how we have commercial and government working together to send these two NASA astronauts to space safely. It's just it's a great combination of what we can do when we put our minds to things and be creative and innovative and work together as one community.
I feel like it's gonna be really different here.
I see Bob and Doug walking around our headquarters in Hawthorne all the time. They're basically family members. They're in the cafeteria. They're getting a drink from the soda machine.
So departure's gonna be about, I don't know, hold on, I'm about to...
And we call them the dads.
Oh, no, they're going to show it.
They are, and they're incredible human beings. They really are. They're brilliant.
We're going to drink this when they,
excellent to work with, but they're just great.
we're going to drink this when it launches and maybe be successful.
Inspired and honored to have known these two guys, and I can't wait to see them launch in space. And I was with you, Lauren, out at SpaceX when we were doing a little tour, and I think you kind of snuck me back in to where they were training, and I got the chance to see them working and training. But when they came back out, I was having lunch, and everyone around was just like, hey, these are our team also.
Yes, yes. It's really amazing. And Lauren, you said, I mean, you talked about what they're like, and they are just two of the most humble people too. I mean, every time I've seen them do an interview, they're getting asked questions about themselves, right? Because they're the stars of the show. They're the ones getting on the rocket, but they always bring it back to the people who made it possible for them. They're always talking about the NASA team, the SpaceX team working behind the scenes that have sacrificed so much to keep them safe and made sure that they're always vigilant. And I know we've talked about this before too, but if you're not looking for something wrong, you're not doing it right. So the teams, even now, they're always looking for any little thing that could go wrong to make sure that Bob and Doug are safe when they strap in and get going.
Absolutely. Around the office, we don't just say, oh, we're launching a rocket, we're launching Dragon. We say, we're launching Bob and Doug. And that human element of this is essentially leveling SpaceX up in a major way today.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, all the technology, all the hardware means nothing if it's all about the people.
Absolutely. And we see just a handful of folks in the room, and we've acknowledged the distance that Mr. Musk and Mr. Bridenstine are standing from the astronauts, and of course they have masks on. This wouldn't really look that much different, though, even if we were not in the midst of a pandemic. I mean, Leland, you know very well what it's like to live in quarantine, getting ready for a mission, and so this coronavirus situation has just kind of underscored the importance of quarantine and keeping the astronauts protected. But can you speak a little bit about what it's like to live in quarantine, getting ready for a mission?
Yeah, we started in quarantine about a week before we come down to the Cape to get ready for launch. And I think that everyone around you that comes to the crew dinners, they have to get checked by the doctors, and so we really make this a very serious thing, even without a pandemic going on. But I think once we get down here, like we have these crew parties for our families, and we can't go to the parties, we have to FaceTime into the parties, but that's a very serious thing, and we only see our spouses at the beach house and have a dinner and celebrate this momentous moment. But it's a very serious thing, even without pandemics going on.
Absolutely. And obviously Doug Hurley and Bob Behnken are two of the best at what they do, and it's starting to really sink in that the mission is on as you see them in their suits there.
It's getting real. It's getting real.
So I remember the very first time that I saw Bob and Doug in these suits at a crew training event at SpaceX. Not only did they look really awesome, astronauts tend to look pretty cool, but the suits looked like they were from the future. Our team designed the spacesuits to maximize safety and functionality with a little bit of style. And so here's Chris Trigg telling us how the SpaceX spacesuit came to be.
I think one of the things that was important in the development of the suit was to make it easy to use, something that the crew just has to literally plug in when they sit down, and then the suit kind of takes care of itself from there. So the suit is really kind of one part of the bigger Dragon system. It's really part of the vehicle. So we think of it as kind of a suit-seat system. So the seat that the crew is in and the suit are in a lot of ways working together. And so it made sense that we were designing Dragon in-house to also design the suit.
Our spacesuit is completely designed in-house. It's built here in Hawthorne, California, in the same building as the rocket and the capsule. The spacesuit is custom made for each crew member, and that is to optimize the fit for the crew member.
We definitely wanted to innovate, and we wanted it to look inspiring, but first and foremost, we wanted it to be safe and reliable. The spacesuit's primary purpose is to protect the crew in the unlikely event that the cabin were to depressurize. But the suit does a number of additional things. It provides cooling and communication to the crew inside of the suit, provides them hearing protection, and the outer layer of the suit is flame resistant, so it provides flame protection as well. When the crew gets in the capsule, they get in their seats and they plug the suit into the umbilical that's attached to the seat. And the umbilical is providing everything that the suit needs. So it provides the avionics or electronics for communications. It's providing the air to cool the suit, and it also provides gas when needed to pressurize the suit. So it's really a single point that lets the suit do all the things that it needs to do. We designed the helmet in-house. The helmet serves a number of different functions. Obviously, it's protecting the crew's head and it's retaining gas like the rest of the suit, but it also houses the microphones as well as the valves that are regulating pressure in the suit. We had to design the gloves so that they would work with the touchscreen. So the gloves also still had to do a number of other things like the rest of the suit. So all of those things had to come together within the glove. It'll be obviously really amazing to see Bob and Doug in their flight suits, and I think one of the things that's cool about the suit is it's not just a piece of hardware, it's not just a suit, it's a very personal thing. It's Bob's suit and it's Doug's suit. And so seeing the two of them in their suits, using it in flight will be just a really amazing thing.
Hey, now that you've had a look at the development of the spacesuit, we thought it'd be pretty cool to show you where our astronauts train to be able to fly on board Dragon.
Yesterday, Dan and I had a chance to spend some time in our crew training facility here in Hawthorne, so let's take a look.
So we are up in the crew training area. This is right where Bob and Doug have been training over the last several months and even years to get ready for this flight. There's a couple of things in the room that we're going to show you real quick. We're going to start off with the cockpit simulator. Now, there are 4 seats inside of Dragon the way it's configured. The 2 in the middle are where the commander and the pilot's seat. So this is the commander seat. This is where Doug Hurley is for this flight. This is the pilot seat. This is where Bob Bankin is. Once they're in their suits, they can plug them into the seats. They get communications, breathing air, pressurized gas for the suits themselves. Everything just integrated into Dragon systems. But most importantly, right in front of them, we have this set of 3 displays. And these are the touchscreen displays that give them access to Dragon. This is their window into their spacecraft. They're able to see all of the different systems. They're able to take control of Dragon. They're able to see where they are over the Earth or in relation to the space station. They're able to see even when thrusters are firing. And if you keep your eye on this little dot, you've been hearing some background noise. We actually have recorded noises of those thrusters that they're able to hear and see in real time while they're training. There's also some hard-coded buttons for some of the more important things, like the pyrotechnics, if they need to cut the main parachute after they land in the water, and of course the launch escape system. So they spend a lot of time in here just getting familiar with Dragon's control systems, but you need a bigger picture. You need to put it all together. And to do that, we can come over here where you just want something a little more higher fidelity, where you have everything from the seats, the displays, the cargo, all of it, just to really make sure you're training so by the time you get up to space, it feels like you've almost been there before. And that's where we're going to find Jesse.
Oh, hey there. I was just training for my next mission to space. But since you're here, let me show you around. This is our flight simulator, which is basically a one-to-one replica of a Crew Dragon vehicle as far as the functionality and the interior. So the astronauts can get suited up, they can practice entering and exiting the vehicle, they can climb into their seats and actually get strapped in. These seats recline back so that they can access these display panels, which are actually functional. And then they can practice flying the vehicle, manually docking with the space station. They can open and close the hatch. And basically, by the time they get to a day like today, they felt like they've already done the mission 100 times before. Well, I'm going to get back to training, so let's get back to launch.
We're coming up on T-minus 3.5 hours, and all continues to go well for today's launch. Now at the launch pad, Falcon 9 is powered on. Engine and stage checkouts were performed several hours ago. Everything's looking good on those. Now we're currently monitoring telemetry and pressurizing the gas storage vessels on board both the first and second stages. And as I mentioned, the good news is there's nothing significant to report on the rocket. Now on top of the Falcon 9 in the picture there, behind the crew access arm is the Dragon spacecraft. The spacecraft is ready for the crew who you saw suiting up. They'll be walking out here shortly. We'll bring that to you. Functional checkouts of the spacecraft were performed in preparation for the crew arrival. Most recently, the Dragon propellant system was pressurized to the final flight pressure just about an hour ago. And currently, all spacecraft systems are go. Right now on the pad, you can see some silhouettes in the access arm. The ingress technician team is up there. They've opened the side hatch and now getting ready for the crew to arrive a little later this afternoon. Now the Air Force Range is supporting us today with air and sea space clearance. They've got no issues at this time. We're also releasing weather balloons. The initial balloons have been released. They don't give us a go for a launch, but they start to tell us that things in the upper altitude are acceptable if this trend continues. So while we're going to wait on those results to give us a better idea, all the way down to about T-minus 30 minutes, we are anticipating acceptable weather for launch at the upper altitudes. And as you heard earlier, at the ground level, things look like they'll be improving through the afternoon as well as downrange. So things are looking good with both Falcon and Dragon. The weather is cooperating as we count down to liftoff. And we want to see where you're following today's launch from. So let's jump over to Tahira at our social desk.
Thanks, John. And I can tell you the excitement is really building online. Right now, we're up to 700,000 people viewing this broadcast. And Launch America is the #3 trending on Twitter in the US. So let's take a closer look at what's being said. Looks like we have Astro Joan, who is just so excited to be on the Space Coast and watching this launch from her driveway. And with that, so jealous to all of you in Florida right now that have the ability to just step outside and witness Bob and Doug make this historic moment. Let's take a look at another. So we have Dave Farrell, and this is the Dave Farrell, the bassist from Linkin Park, which is just sick in general. And it looks like his kids coined the term nerve-sighted for today's mission, and this is perfect. I was actually looking for a word to just describe the jitters and excitement leading up to launch. So Dave, thank you for that. I will be stealing that for today's show. So let's take just a broader look at the conversation online right now with this heat map of the United States. So you'll see that the more purple states show the states with the most mentions of Launch America, and with that, it looks like the Florida Space Coast is really coming alive for today's launch, followed by California, home of SpaceX, and Texas, where our mission control is. So great to see all these home teams showing up for today's historic mission. I want to toss it back to Florida, though, because I have to reiterate, if you have a chance to go to Florida and watch one of these launches in person, it's great. I watched my first one last year, and that was the uncrewed test flight of today's mission. And even then, uncrewed, I literally cried. I mean, you cannot describe the emotion that comes over to see this in person. So highly recommend, if you get a chance, go on down to Florida. For those of you just tuning in, we are using the hashtag #LaunchAmerica on NASA's social media channels. So join the conversation with us, and maybe we'll show it during the broadcast. So earlier in the show, we polled users on Twitter to see which of you watched the final shuttle launch in 2011, and the results are in. So, looks like about 40% of you were able to watch the last shuttle launch, but 60% of you weren't. And I have to say, I'm not gonna lie, I'm with those 60%. This will be my first time watching humans lift off to space from the US, and I'm not kidding when I tell you I'm literally thrilled to do this and share it with you all today. So the next question we have for you, as Bob and Doug finish their final suit checks, we would like to know if you were in the room with them right now, what would you say to them on social media? Use the hashtag #LaunchAmerica, and we'll show it later on in the show. Now let's head back to Marie at Kennedy. Marie?
All right, thanks to Tahira. We're looking live at the back doors of the O&C building. Those are the iconic doors that Bob and Doug are going to be walking out in just a minute. But first, we want to pause to honor today's efforts with our national anthem. And the incomparable Kelly Clarkson treats us now with her virtual rendition from her home to yours.
Say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets strike alive, the bombs bursting in
And any moment now, we're going to see Bob and Doug walking out. We're looking at the pad right now, but you guys, that just gave me chills listening to that. And we saw them getting into the elevator, so they're making their way down to the first floor where they're going to be walking out of those doors any moment now.
Just so exciting to think, back in 11 years ago when I was going down that elevator and about to walk out those doors, it just brings back these memories of getting human beings to space, working together as a team, and having this entire community around you helping you get off the planet.
Yeah, and Leland, I know you have a really cool memory about somebody special that you saw when you walked out of those doors.
Oh my goodness, Marie, when I walked out of those doors, my chemistry teacher was right there from high school who inspired me to be a scientist. And she said, "Go Leland." And that's what's going to happen when they come out. These people that, their families are going to be there. I wish other people could be there, but it's just an amazing moment.
Yeah, and the shot you just saw there with people carefully spaced apart, we saw them walk out right before the anthem started. It was Vice President Mike Pence along with Elon Musk and Jim Bridenstine. Of course, they left the building just ahead of the crew, so they are standing, we're looking now at the doors, but they're standing just right of that, across from the Teslas. There's also a designated spot for Doug and Bob's immediate families. There's that shot now, so we're looking at the back of Elon Musk, Jim Bridenstine, and Vice President Mike Pence. Of course, there's a small group of media there also, and so we've kind of blocked this very carefully to maintain social distancing and those that can't have the masks on. But there's the Teslas waiting for them. They got the meatball. There's the worm in the background and the worm on the back of the Teslas. So, Leland, I know we were talking about this earlier. You had some mixed feelings about the worm, right?
I mean, the worm, the meatball, when I was at NASA Langley, we changed over to the meatball from the worm. So, Lauren, I know you love the worm. It's
worm all day.
All day, really?
All day.
Seriously?
Oh yeah. I'm sorry. I love that the worm is so retro, and it's only fitting that it would be making its way back. Bringing the historic, just opulence of NASA's past to the present.
I'll let you have that.
Yeah. No, thank you.
But I mean, the chevron and the meatball goes back to Langley's tradition when it was, aviation, and that gets back to that heritage and that history too. So
I guess sure. Okay, truce.
Orbits.
Or truce.
I feel like this is a microcosm of what's happening online about the worm. But the meatball's not going away. It's a worm meatball partnership.
There we go.
There we go.
So there's another view there of the crosswalk. There is where Bob and Doug are going to walk out any moment. Of course, they're going to get their photo taken by all the paparazzi there. And we're just standing by for them to walk out. I'm going to check the time, actually, 1:13. So if they walk out any minute now, they're going to be right on schedule to start their final goodbyes and waving to folks. And I'm sure they're going to pause for a photo op. But this is just really amazing. Haven't seen this site since 2011 with STS-135. Of course, Doug Hurley was the pilot on that mission. So this is a really incredible moment.
Yeah, and one of the crewmates that was with him was Rex Walham that we're going to talk to later. And we have, here they come.
Here they are.
Here they come, NASA astronauts Bob Behnken and Doug Hurley. They've each made this journey twice before for the space shuttle missions, but they've never done this in a SpaceX spacesuit. They've never done this together, and they've never done this on their way to head to a commercially built rocket and spacecraft to head to space.
When I was looking for that Astro van, and I see these white Teslas with meatballs and worms on them, it's just a new era in space travel.
Oh yeah, they're riding in Tesla Model X's. They've been equipped with cooling units, so once they sit inside, that umbilical that I was referring to earlier will connect to the spacesuit to provide cooling while they're inside of the vehicle.
And you can see them talking and waving with their families now. We just saw them do a virtual hug with their sons.
There's Megan and Karen and their sons, yeah.
They're the dads.
The dads, yeah.
It's so awesome.
Bob blowing his family a kiss. Doug actually got to take his wife and son up to the pad on the tower. Yesterday they tweeted out a photo. That was so cool.
I saw that picture, and it had a prominent worm in the picture, right?
Yes.
I'm telling you, worm all day. So they're climbing through those DeLorean bits of the Model X.
Tesla!
Totally from the future.
Are they stock? Are they stock Teslas?
And then you see in the front seat there, that's our flight surgeon. He's climbing in, and the suit technicians, there's one Chris Trigg right there, number 12. He is buckling in. They're both, the two suit techs are buckling in, Bob and Doug, and they're connecting that umbilical.
And Lauren, I know you mentioned this earlier, but for folks that maybe weren't watching then or can't remember, I mean, we're in Florida, it's super hot, super muggy, so how are they staying cool?
There are these portable cooling units. We had one at the ONC building, or sorry, two at the ONC building. There are two in the Teslas. There'll be two in the elevators, and then two in the white room when they arrive on the crew arm. So we're just keeping the cool air flowing through the suits. There's actually ducting integrated into the suits to keep them cool. And you can see they're saying goodbye to their families. This is awesome.
Yeah, it's awesome. That their families get to come up to the window and obviously get a little closer than everybody else.
There's Megan, son, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
These are precious moments. This is what it's all about, as I mentioned before. It's about the people, it's about the family.
Don't cross the camera, don't cross the camera. I'm live streaming it.
To get Doug and Bob launching off the cosmos to the space station.
Yeah, it's emotional. It's emotional watching that.
It really is. Here we go.
We're going the pad.
It'll go for hours. I'm going to keep live streaming for hours.
I'm live streaming for private.
Now, as you see the convoy,
I'm live streaming it private on YouTube, so no one else can see it.
About each
except me.
One of you, our colleagues and friends at SpaceX and NASA, who have had a hand in seeing the Crew Dragon commercial crew program come to life.
And we wish every single one of you could be here up close to see this, but we want you to be a part of this journey regardless of where you are watching today. And so for the next few minutes, while they're making their way to the pad, we want to highlight those people
I just
whose
started.
words and thoughts built all that we see here today. And we hope all of you watching can feel that pride that each of these NASA and SpaceX team members has for today.
I just started it.
Yeah, I'm just saying. It's going to run.
This
It's not
is
even
Laura
going to take off till
from
4
the Commercial
o'clock.
Crew Program. We're so
They're heading
excited
towards the
about
pad right now.
today. Congratulations on being a part of the very first mission for human spaceflight, commercial human spaceflight ever. We're behind you, Bob.
It's 2 hours almost.
I'm Nicole from SpaceX in Cape Canaveral, Florida. Congratulations to SpaceX for hitting another major milestone, and safe travels to Bob and Doug.
As the launch vehicle chief engineer, we've got a lot of our launch vehicle team here to wish you a very wonderful safe ride on a Falcon 9. Too. We're so excited for you. And Launch America, it's time to launch. Let's go.
Hi, this is Perla from Hawthorne headquarters. We want to wish Bob and Doug a safe
There's
trip
a
to
Mustang
the
right
International Space
parked.
Station. Go
There's a
Dragon!
Mustang parked right outside. Not like at someone's house. Just visit.
It's been 9 years in the making. This is such a historic time, and our team has worked so hard, and we're very excited to be here.
No, it's in 2 hours. They're gonna be there in a while. They're already in the car.
Hi, this is Sam from McGregor, Texas. Go Bob and Doug, go NASA, go SpaceX.
Launch live coverage. SpaceX. Launch from Kennedy. Space care.
Sean Roach from Douglas Space Center. Bob and Doug, wishing you a great flight. I just want to tell you good luck.
I'm Justin Kamak with NASA Kennedy's Communications and Public Engagement Directorate. And we all want to wish Bob and Doug safe travels and Godspeed. You are both an inspiration to us all. Now, let's get out there and launch America. Let's do it. Come on.
Alright, did they did the national anthem too.
And we are following the convoy. And Leland, Lauren, I don't know about you guys, but I'm so glad that we had the chance to hear from the NASA and SpaceX teams that have been working behind the scenes, because, Lauren, I know you know this all too well. I mean, these people have been working not only for, the last, since 2014 when SpaceX won this contract, but, I mean, working long hours, long reviews. Coronavirus happened, and then they're
stop us
still trying to get
from launching the
all
spacecraft into space.
And closeouts to get to today.
Yeah,
and
they can't stop us. The virus can't stop us
waiting
from
on the
launching.
weather, but it's just great that they got a chance to wish Bob and Doug good luck.
Absolutely. It is a bummer that we can't all be here in person, but to have that opportunity with all of yours is pretty cool. And you're right. I mean, it's been years of extremely hard work. Fortunately, we've had little milestones along the way, like Demo 1 and IFA, the in-flight abort mission, but it was all leading up to this. And I speak for all of my friends and colleagues that are still working on this program. Today is a career just high for all of those people, if not the pinnacle of it.
Absolutely, and I know Doug and Bob appreciate them so much. And as they continue to make their way to the pad, the next astronauts to make this journey are also watching very closely. NASA astronauts Shannon Walker, Victor Glover, and Mike Hopkins, and Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency astronaut Soichi Noguchi will also be flying. They'll be in the Crew 1 mission a little later this year. Of course, that's after Bob and Doug return home. Now, Crew 1 will be the second space flight for Walker and Hopkins, who each flew on the Russian Soyuz, and it will be the first space flight for Glover and the third space flight for Noguchi. He flew on both the space shuttle and the Soyuz previously. Now, the Crew 1 mission will be the first in a series of rotational flights to station after Demo 2, once NASA certifies the SpaceX systems for regular crew flights. And right now, Victor and Mike are following along from the Johnson Space Center in Houston, and they are standing by to talk to NASA's Daryl Nail. Daryl, are you? All right, I'm sorry, we don't have Daryl, but as we continue to follow the convoy, we've got actually a little chase car following the convoy. I think we're going to be actually talking to Victor and Mike from right here. Victor and Mike, are you there?
We are here.
All right, hi guys. I'm just going to ask you first. You're going to be two of the next people to get on board Crew Dragon. So what are all your thoughts and feelings as you're watching Bob and Doug in the Tesla right now?
As you can imagine, there's a lot of emotions. Of course, we're excited for Bob and Doug, excited for NASA, excited for SpaceX, and really the whole country. A lot of pride in what it's taken to get to this moment. All the thousands of people that have contributed to getting to this moment. But then there's also a bit of sense of duty of business as usual. So for us, we're going to be watching, we're going to be listening, we're going to be learning, and all of that to help get us prepared for when it's our time.
Are they really far where they're going to be launching?
And your mission called Crew 1.
Are they really far for them?
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
Launching.
I was just going to say it was also great to see them walk out just
driving the cars
and say goodbye to their families and do the virtual hugs. That was great. There are a lot of emotions, but that's probably the best one.
And Victor and Mike, they had Shannon Walker and Soichi Noguchi also assigned to the Crew 1 mission with you. What can you tell us about them and your relationship with them and your training so far with them?
Yeah, I'm very excited about Crew 1. We've got a very experienced crew. You guys hit on that a little bit earlier. Of course, Shannon.
We showed up to our first sims, and it felt like we had done it several times before. And so it's great because we do have a lot to get done. We not only have to learn to fly and to operate the Crew Dragon spacecraft that Bob and Doug are going to do later today, God willing, we also...
Radio, I think. Tesla, they're getting an hour in the Tesla, I'm not sure. Mom, look. Look, they have the cameras at the car. Mom, look, it's a Tesla.
That's a Tesla?
Yeah.
You know what? I had a boyfriend one time, and he had a car that did that. Those doors did that.
It was like
he invented it himself.
Was it a Lamborghini?
I don't know. It was a car that he made himself. But the doors came up like that. It must have been really rich. I didn't even know it.
Alright guys, they're closing the doors, and that is a dope closing type thing. So I don't know why they're closing. I think they got out. I'm not sure. I'm live streaming, that's why I gotta talk. The Teslas are going. Did the astronauts go? Wait, oh, they're moving towards a different entry. Just probably checking on the space aircraft, Mom. So let's see if yeah, they're getting out. The doors are opening. We have a tower with the camera. It's getting pretty wet down there where the Teslas are, Mom. And he has a duffel bag. He looks completely like a robber. Completely looks like a robber. Duffel bags, bro. I mean, those Teslas clothes dope, bro. So we have them playing around a lot. So let's see, Mom. Are we gonna see a good takeoff today? Or are we gonna see a very well, it actually depends on the people. So that's what matters, right, Mom? So the people care about. We have to care about the people more than the other people. So we're gonna see a probably good takeoff. All right. They're going up to the shuttle in an elevator, Mom. And we're almost ready, Mom. Right? We're almost ready. They're going up.
You're taping it?
Yeah, I'm recording it. It's a live stream on YouTube. I can put the camera on this. I can link it to this, and it can record it. Is that dope? So it's at 720p. So that's good graphic quality there. Ooh, the elevator almost closed on him. That was really funny. But we got to get out of there as soon as the elevator opens. That's how it works. Someone forgot a bag, I think. They got a bag. I don't know if that's a duffel bag or one of them got to be a duffel bag. That's gonna be really. I don't know if that's a long step. I don't know if they went almost all the way or they have to go through a bunch of steps. Because that's gonna be really hurtful with your knees. So I don't know. This is the best live stream ever to be on here. Alright, on my YouTube channel. Shout out to what's his name is shout out to SpaceX, NASA, and stuff like that. That's dope, Mom. Look at it. Looks like a Darth Vader. Looks like this. Look. Looks like a Star Wars type entry. I don't know if those are lights or I don't know. So guys, you're in the countdown to the SpaceX Dragon countdown here. So basically, I think they're almost there. I think they're here. I'm not sure if they're over the. One guy's looking at the view. It's probably a beautiful view. You never know. We'll see what happens. There's a female, I think. Number 19 right there. Don't forget to like, subscribe this live stream, guys. Because this is a cool live stream here. Guys may be able to hear the radio. I did hear radio last couple of minutes back then in the live stream. And he's looking at the camera. It's funny. Those guys look like they can't even move their necks though, so hopefully they can sometime around in the ship. Space shuttle. We're at 30, 26, 31, 17. What the frick? No cussing. Okay. I got you. Alright guys, hopefully you guys will enjoy this. Seven minutes in the live stream here. People gotta join. Dang. Well, I got some views on YouTube though, definitely. Alright. Always gotta keep an eye on the girls, cause you know, the females, the women, because you gotta make sure they stay safe inside. I think they're going in the tunnel, guys. Or an elevator. They're going in the tunnel, right, Mom? Look. Are they going in the tunnel? Looks like they're going in the tunnel, guys. But countdown's a long way from takeoff. Yep, they're going inside. Dude, that looks so cool. Looks like from Star Wars, but like future.
Star Wars was.
I know, but Mom, that was a fighting movie. Alright, guys, looks like an airplane, but the door's a little bit too small for an airplane, so.
Pour on countdown 1 at T-minus 2 hours 47 minutes. The crew is in the White Room and ingress has started on schedule.
Turn the volume up a little bit because we need to be able to hear the radio to make sure there's no delays. Am I right, Ma? You gotta listen to the radio. It's very important. Wow, that's a lot of people watching. Can't hear them talking, which is dope. It's private though, so you know what I mean? For probably the premium people on YouTube, guys should be able to hear this. I just wish. Premium YouTube, wish you could hear the audio. We're gonna go in the shuttle in about the hour of the, you know, the 1 hour limit, hour left. They're about to maybe go in here. They are about to put probably fuel inside the spacecraft. That's probably why they are putting them in early for setups, right, Mom? So they have to put them in early to be able to fuel the ship up. So they're gonna put a lot of stuff in here. Hopefully you guys can like it. I'm gonna stop talking from now on. So maybe not. What? I'm gonna stop talking so you guys can enjoy this. And just imagine the audio. That was creepy. Did you see that? That was very creepy. Connected. Why? Alright. Wait. Steven, did you join my live stream? Steven, did you join? I think he did. Don't call me if you did, because isn't this dope though? The camera angles and stuff like that, bro. Like they're getting inside. I think they're feeling our oxygen tank. Do they have to have oxygen tanks to get in there? My mom says it's annoying. Wait, in the chat, who's joined live stream in the takeoff? Appreciate who's ever watching. I appreciate it. If this is Steven, I like it, bro. It's dope if it is. There's someone he hasn't left. Steve, if this is Steven, text me from my phone though. From Snapchat. They're inside the shuttle, sitting down. Steven, if you can hear me, text me on Snapchat if this is Steven. So, hopefully guys you'll enjoy this. It's gonna be a special live stream here. But now we're going to do the commentary, maybe action of it. So guys, I'll be right back.
We can't offer much during this time of crisis, but we can offer what we have. So from all of us,
And
welcome back, guys.
Similar to what was done at the ONC building, but this time the integrated two-way communications between the astronauts and the ground crew.
And we're going to head back to Hawthorne now, as we just saw Bob and Doug ingress Crew Dragon. Dan?
Hey, thanks. Yeah, it's incredible to see them inside the capsule. If you're just now tuning in, great timing. You're watching our coverage of the mission known as Demonstration.
Welcome back, guys. Whoa, that looks really... Wow, look at the background, guys. Look at the background of the space shuttle. Oh my god. That looks amazing, bro.